call the meeting to order. And once again, no public delegations. We're not having any luck with that.
Art?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Before we proceed any farther, could I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion to add 2 items to the agenda.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd like to, I would make a motion to add one item to new business. B, Connecticut Deep Community-Based Monitoring. And an item C to old business, RBV sampling.
Oh, they meant old business. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not using my phone, so here.
Okay, we've got, okay, Roseanne, are you able to hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, then I've got Mark on one phone and you on another, and with any luck, you'll be able to at least hear other people. And speak up if you, want to say something, because I'm not sure others can hear you.
Okay.
It's going to be tough to sing our song.
Let's tie up both of your phones.
Oh, that's okay. We have 2 cell phones and a landline, so we're more than connected here.
Well, the president might be trying to call Ray.
Let's hope not. Yeah.
We've added.
Okay. Okay.
We've added the 2 new agenda items. If that's all we want to add, then we can go to the minutes and review them. And
the only thing I
Do we have to second the motion?
I think we need a second and a vote.
Yeah, I second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to add something, but it's something that Fran said we should have an election of officers for the January meeting, but Art suggested, and I agree, that we should put that off to the February meeting so people have a chance to have it actually on the agenda. So I'm requesting that be put off.
You can add it to the agenda with a 2/3 vote.
Well, okay, I'll just open that up to discussion then.
You just take the motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we put the election of officers either in January or in January, and we can talk about it
Second.
now.
I'll second it.
Okay, you make the motion to add it to tonight's agenda.
Okay, I made a motion to add it to the agenda. Fran, are you following all of this?
Guys, before we vote on any motions, who's seated, who's not?
I think we have the full complement of
Yeah,
regular,
you and Harvey aren't seated because.
Okay, so we don't have to vote. Good.
Right. So it's been seconded and I'm open to discussion. Okay,
It's discussion for the,
whether you want election of officers this month or next month.
this month, well, we can probably have a better discussion next month.
Yeah,
I mean, I can hear you, but you're coming in and out, so.
right. Mark wants to put it off till February.
Then there should be a motion made to delay the election of officers because it's supposed to be done in January. So somebody needs to make a motion to postpone that to the February.
He makes a motion, but my motion is still on the floor.
Oh, right.
I would suggest that we then defeat this motion, make
Yeah,
another
start
motion
over.
to defer the election of officers into the month of February.
The easiest thing is have the seconder withdraw.
Okay,
Withdraw
whoever
it.
seconded the motion, withdraw it, and that just pulls it off the table. Okay,
I'll
Laura,
withdraw my second.
so then Mark's making a motion to have it discussed in the February meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, Laura seconds that. Discussion?
Discussion?
That's fine with me. I think we can be a little better because there are people that are having trouble hearing here.
All in favor of the motion? Here we go.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
It's passed. Mark says aye too, so it's passed. So we'll do it in February.
Okay.
Roseanne, I hope there's nothing wrong with putting it off.
No, you made a motion, to add it to the February agenda, so you're set.
Okay, okay. Okay, Art, it's all yours.
Okay, let's go to the minutes. You all have copies, I presume.
Nobody's saying anything.
I guess.
We make a motion to
Is there any
accept them
suggestions?
as is.
I second that motion.
Okay, Mark made the motion, Don seconded it.
Oh,
Okay, any discussion?
Apparently not.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
I abstain, I wasn't here for that. Okay, we'll move to new business. Review of the updates of the POCD. Does anybody have any comments on those?
Has anything new been done for that document, or? I mean,
I'm not aware of anything, and I've been talking with Gary, so
I'm not aware of anything. Since we submitted comments we put in for agriculture back in, I think it was September.
Yeah, and I read the draft copy, and the format has been changed so much, I couldn't find where those, we had specifically, Don had pulled out specific sentences that needed to be added, and I submitted that, but I couldn't find where that was, because they changed all the numbers and everything. So I'm not sure whether our,
I'll give Gary a call tomorrow and follow up on that,
okay.
okay?
They were minor changes. I mean, it wasn't anything.
Well, I'll ask a question. Have
Yeah.
the changes that we submitted been completed?
Yeah. I thought that was it September, Mark? You remember? I thought it was later than that.
Well,
Yes.
October?
might
Because it was right up on just the last day that,
It was about
whatever,
November.
the last day that,
I think it's November.
yeah, early November. It was like just before the cutoff for comments.
cut off 10th of November and agriculture goes in on the 1st or 2nd of November. And then you were probably right around that time too.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'll check with Gary to make sure all of our points of view have been put in. All right, let's go to the B now. Don, why don't you take the lead on that?
Yes, thanks, Art. Appreciate it. I just want to bring forward to the commission, I got an email from Megan Lally of Connecticut Deep regarding, it was a little more of a questionnaire, but it could be promising for getting some information. It's called community-based monitoring. And I noticed there were several segments. I filled it out on behalf of the Nyack River Watershed Commission, for which I'm a member, concerning water quality monitoring streams. I also filled out another questionnaire on behalf of the Pocd Lake Association on lake monitoring. But there were two things I thought would be of interest to this commission. One is they had a segment on road salts. They were asking if there were any organizations or towns or other groups that might be interested in getting involved with Connecticut Deep on road salt monitoring, which would include either a logger deployment and or test strip readings. And I know in the past we've discussed road salt usage in town and how it might be impacting our water supply by increasing sodium. And I didn't know if there would be something that we would want to say, yeah, we would be interested in that.
I thought
If we want to cooperate with them.
that's a no-brainer. I would say we'd absolutely be interested in being able to do that. I mean, we spent so much time talking about the negative effects, but we didn't quantify it other than we know that the sodium level's rising in time, but why not get involved in measuring that?
either I or maybe if Penny would like to, one of us could go on I've got the email. It's a link to the it's like a questionnaire survey. We
Yes,
could go on and we could indicate an interest in that. I'd be happy to do that.
please do that.
Yeah,
Okay, I will
Don,
do that.
I got the same thing from Megan. Would it help if more than one of us, or I mean,
If you'd like to do that, why don't you go ahead and do that? I've already submitted twice. In fact, I had to have her change the whole survey so I could get in there twice because it wasn't going to let me. So why don't you do it?
okay.
The second part of that I'd like to bring up, and I thought it brings attention to Laura. There was another one called School-Based Urban Water Quality Monitoring. We're not a city, we're not urban, but we certainly are well developed. And I didn't know if, Laura, if you would like to take a look at that, and maybe
Yeah,
that's certainly up to you. I will forward the email to you. You can decide whether to get involved. It's very simple, very, very quick response to them. They may come back, they may offer materials or instruments that you might use, or offer some ideas for you and your class. So
no, absolutely, that'd be great, because I can tie it in with the Latimer Brook stuff I already do in the class, so any way I can tie it in.
And the last, there was a separate email, and I will just bring this up to the attention of the commission because, again, the Nyack River Watershed Committee already responded on this. There was another one asking about Connecticut Deep fish surveys, fish community surveys, and we indicated an interest in having Latimer Brook and some of the other Nyack River tributaries that haven't been sampled in a few years, sampled by Connecticut Deep to see what the fish population is doing. I didn't know whether the commission might be interested in any of the other streams in town outside of the Nyack River Basin that we might want to look at, whether it be 4 Mile River or anything else.
Roseanne wants to make a comment. Okay, Roseanne, go ahead.
The commission might be interested in that. Our highway superintendent has been concerned about this as well, and either last year or the year before, we actually changed the formulation for the road salt and diluted the amount of salt and added other things into the mixture. So we have taken some pro-action, but I think this is a good idea. And Joe Bagai has been interested in this as well, and he is our superintendent of public works. So I'll give him a call tomorrow and make him aware of this.
Okay, yeah, if he wants, we can maybe get more details, you know, if he wants to know more about it.
Yes. Yep, okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Penny, I can't hear this very well. What did we just decide?
Roseanne is going to talk to
Who's gonna-
I'm sorry, Roseanne, what was the name of the
His name is Joe Bagai.
Joe Bagai,
Superintendent of Public Works.
Superintendent of Public Works, and she's going to tell him about Don's suggestion that we might be able to monitor road salt and see
Okay.
if he is interested in being involved or just wants to know more about it.
Okay.
So I think that's a really good idea, so the town knows that we shouldn't be working separate from the people in the town that are involved in this.
So I know that he has personally been taken an interest in this, and we are one of the few towns in the state that have already taken some action, and I would have to ask him again how they diluted the amount of salt in the mixture that they put down, but they put some additives in so that it would still do the job, but would diminish the amount of salt that's actually used in the preventative mixture.
Okay, yeah, and if he's got any information that, you know, would be of interest to us, that would be good to get, you know, have a two-way conversation here. Or exchange of information, even if we don't talk to him.
Right.
Okay. You know, one of the good things about our writing the public water supply and the salt issue, now people are becoming very interested in this whole thing, and that's partly because of that publication we put out. Okay. So
Yep.
it's going to sit on a lot of bookshelves with nothing happening, but it does get that information out there. Okay. Let's go to old business. Penny, I guess sustainability, and you could cover most of that.
Yeah, and Mark is involved or more than I
Right.
am with it too. Just an update. The funding for the East Lyme Giving Garden has gone very, very well. It's due, the crowdfunding through Sustainable CT has gone from the 15th of November through it's due to end on January 15th, so in 2 days. So far, people have donated $8,485. 49 people have made those donations. With the match that Sustainable CT adds, which would be $7,500, that makes a total of $16,985. They had a goal of $18,295. That was like their wish budget. So they're reaching, if they don't get anything more in the last 2 days, they've got 93% of their goal, which I think everybody would be very, very happy with. Mark, do you want to say anything about any progress that's been made on the garden? I mean, it's a dead of winter, so not too much has been going on.
Well, actually, yeah, there has been progress. I seeded 1.5 acres of wildflowers for the pollinator pathway group on December 9th, and it's called frost crack seeding, and it'll work its way through over the winter and germinate next April or early May. So that's done. And then we were able to, through donated materials, I don't think we had to buy much of anything.
Yeah, Mark, you don't have to speak up very loudly.
Okay. So the 1.5 acres was seeded with pollinator pathways group in wildflowers in December. That will germinate in May. The next thing that was done was there's a storage shed that's been built, donated materials entirely. It's 8 by 12. And I think we're going to have another fundraiser. I did miss our last meeting last week, but I understand we're having another fundraiser, and I think we're going to try to connect with the Petronicity site again. And we have some high rollers for prizes, we believe.
Yeah. Just a point of information. You unless you start a new project, you cannot do Patronicity and Sustainable Connecticut again.
Okay.
That's off the books. And the other thing is that the pollinator pathway people, I met with them last week, and they are ready to go to get as a separate project, which will be funded through, because it's a separate project, even though it's contiguous land. The town of East Lyme can only have one project. Well, I mean, you can have more than one, but it's frowned upon at a time. So you have to give them the chance to they want to do from March to May, because that's when they think that people are going to be most interested in flowers and butterflies and that sort of thing. So you guys are going to have to kind of back off a little bit. Although you can, I mean, you can go elsewhere, certainly. If you've got high rollers from Pfizer, then, you know.
Maybe that's, as I said, I missed the last meeting, so maybe that's what they have up their state.
Right.
I don't know. And I think that's it for agriculture. We didn't really have a meeting last month.
Okay, well, that's down on the agenda.
Yeah, okay, well, that's all we got. Oh, I think we can start putting in irrigation pipes before winter is over.
Okay. The bottom line on Fran, for the East Lyme Giving Garden progress is that progress is being made with the infrastructure. They've gotten 93% of their funding through the Sustainable Connecticut. The pollinator pathway group will be next up, and their requests for funding are modest. And they're just organizing now about how they want to present themselves on the Patronicity crowdfunding platform, which Sustainable Connecticut is paying to do their work for them. So that's it for Sustainable Connecticut. The only thing I would ask Laura and Harvey, if he's allowed to speak, please think about more what you'd like to do more with the Sustainable Connecticut program. They've revamped their action, the 10 actions we had to do, and it's all on their website. Some of it I would say is very positive. Some is sort of weird. The equity stuff is #1 now and not #9. A lot of the natural resource stuff is really much more expanded. So I think we're going to have to, well, should the town choose to keep our certification, we're going to have to do that, not in 2021, thank God, but in 2022. We'll be up for it, and we could, think big and go with the silver if we want to. A lot of the natural resource stuff is going to get us some more points this time around, because there's more on the list, like open skies for limited lighting. The pollinator pathway is worth about 25 points all by itself, and a few things like that. So I ask everybody, especially Laura and Harvey, but everybody else, to look at the Sustainable CT website and how they've updated it.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
thank
in
you.
case you didn't have anything better to do, Laura. I know you've been busy. And Harvey, you have no excuse. And your wife too.
The discussion, of course.
So are those specifically identified if I log in on the East Lyme Sustainable Connecticut like we had a year ago? Will I see those items that you just identified?
You'll see some of them. The East Lyme Giving Garden is on their fundraising, so that's in Patronicity, which is a made-up word. That's patronicity.com. But the new thing that I'm suggesting you look at is at the Sustainable CT website, same as before. They've updated it all. The action points are, well, I think they changed about maybe 50 to 60% of the actions are regrouped and different. But we don't have to worry about it for 18 months. So I'm just giving you a heads up.
Got it.
And we can talk about whether you want to. I mean, I'm kind of assuming that the town would want to stay registered.
I would think so as well.
Yeah. It's paid off, at least so far. Okay, Art, we're done.
Okay, what I thought about on the report, I've come up with the idea of A, making more copies, B, send a copy to the Gary Goschel, the town planner, send a copy to Parks and Rec, and send a copy to Laura in the school, high school, so that you have a really a good forestry-based discussion of all the kinds of trees on this 300-acre piece of Darrell Pond. I really haven't known who to give it to, but now I think
because I just had my kids do a whole thing on the subgroup report.
that's what got me thinking about this. I said, wait a minute, why don't, this is a 15-page report about, it's very detailed. We broke 300 acres up into 9 different areas, talk about the trees, when they should be cut, why they should be cut. It's a very detailed, and your kids would get a great deal of information out of it. if we pass it on to both the town planner and the Parks and Rec, there are logical people who should be interested in a tree issue in town. So I'll plan to do that unless somebody has a better idea. I don't hear a better idea, so I'll do it.
Art,
Yeah.
should that be added to a set of our minutes so it's actually in the record somewhere?
Yeah, we can do that the next meeting. You know,
Well, if you send a copy to Fran, then it will get into the meeting.
okay, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, and then, yeah, because I haven't seen it in detail. I don't think anybody, I'm not sure everybody else has
I
either.
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'll get copies for everybody and I'll send it to Fran.
okay.
Is this something that should then just like a CC to the Board of Selectmen, or have they already seen it?
They haven't seen, Board of Selectmen hasn't seen it. Yeah, no, let me get some copies made and I'll get it to the people.
I mean, we should see it first, but it might be something just so then its existence is known.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It should be distributed to all of these people. I'll get on the business of reproducing the thing.
Art, before you make a whole bunch of copies, maybe just get it to us, let us look at it, and then discuss it at the next meeting. And maybe that'll give us a chance to think about who else might need it.
That's what I gave you the long range view at this moment. I will get copies for each of us, discuss it next meeting, see what we think, okay? But that'll move the thing off the center of my table into the public square where it should be. Let's see. Oh, and Don C is sampling.
Yes. Yeah, the only reason I bring this back up again is because I said something at the November meeting that got into the minutes. At the time, I was convinced that Connecticut Deep had mixed up our RBV sample from Cranberry Meadow Brook with a sample that was submitted by a group in East Haddam that sampled the same brook of the same name. Megan Lally of Deep did take I give her a lot of credit. She took the time to go in to look at this, and unfortunately I was wrong. So that the score of the Cranberry Meadow Brook was, as it is found in the Connecticut Deep report. Here I thought we had gotten some stoneflies, and which were highly desirable, but we didn't. I realized much later, and this helped us out this year, that I've been misidentifying a certain type of mayfly as a stonefly. So I was wrong. I just want to correct that. The Connecticut Deep report is correct, and unfortunately, our Cranberry Meadow Brook wasn't quite as good as I thought it would be, but there it is. So thank you.
If maybe you have to put that in the minutes without signing his name to it, so we won't know who to blame. Okay, that was an interesting situation. Okay, the communications. I haven't been checking at the town hall. You go ahead. You have one, Don.
Yeah, I did want to make this an agenda item because I think this is only communications. It's only informational. Yet again, another email to me, probably because I'm on Nyack River Watershed Committee. It's a communication and a survey regarding the creation of the Connecticut National Estuarine Research Reserve, which East Lyme and Waterford and Nyack River is right in the center of that. There's a large committee of people that are moving forward with getting that going, including a lot of research people like Jamie Vaudry at UConn and some other people at UConn, US EPA, et cetera, et cetera. What the email is concerning was a participation poll that is scheduling for a series of public meetings to be held to gain feedback on developing the priorities and goals for the proposed, I'll give you the acronym CERR. I just thought I would bring this up. I intend to participate in some of these meetings. Some of them are not of interest to me. There's all sorts of different topics. But if anybody wants the email to see what it looks like or to learn more about the Estuarine Reserve, let me know. I'll forward the email to you. Ron, anybody
Yeah,
else?
I'd like to see that. I
I'd like
would,
to see the list.
yeah, I
I'll
would
send
put
it to
on
the whole, I'll send it to the whole commission then, and
I was
including,
setting in on that
Roseanne.
to make sure that the Connecticut River mouth was included in that. There's an awful lot of saltwater issues.
It is. Connecticut River mouth, all the way to Stonington.
We
think.
begged.
I'll
them
send
to
the email to all. You can
include
take a look there. It is an explanation about the Estuarine Reserve. And again, you can see what kind of public meetings are going to be held on this, where people can give their input.
it. Okay.
Okay, agribusiness, Mark.
Well, we did not have a December meeting, we never do. We're hoping to pursue, look into a municipal grant, ag viability grant later this year, if they're still doing it, for cross-town services, for residential properties versus open space versus commercial properties. So we hope to pursue something along those lines, with the ag viability grant. And I don't think we have too much else going on. The Giving Garden is a standalone, although the agribusiness group got it up and started. The Giving Garden is a standalone organization, so I didn't want anybody to be confused that we were doing it. That's a separate deal. I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Chairman's report. I have three things to bring up, just to introduce the ideas to you, and then we can discuss them in a little more depth next meeting. I talked with somebody this couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we started to talk about PFAS. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And make a long story short, searching on the internet, which I do occasionally, and lo and behold, Stone's Ranch comes up on it, which was, I always wondered about that. And they come up, 4.56 parts per trillion measured in 2017. And I don't know, I think the EPA changed the maximum level up to 10 parts per million before. That's still safe for the public, but we've got to check on that. But I hope that's an acceptable one from the EPA's point of view, because we've been talking about, about 500 million gallons a day that we can get out of the 4 Mile River. Well, that might not be true. I think it is, because I think the number is greater than 4.56, the acceptable number. But anyway, that data is there, and I'm going to try to poke around next month to see, what's the legal limit and so on. We should have some discussions about that.
Stone's Ranch is a big place, so it kind of depends on what area, I would think.
I can't hear what
He says that Stone's Ranch is a big area, so it depends on where they're sampling. That makes a difference. It's not all over the place.
Well, that's true. At Stone's Ranch, my guess is it comes from a firefighting equipment. That's the main source of this thing. And also, there's a lot of questions of the first thing you do know, which is bad, is it doesn't break down. It's the forever chemical. But we have to ask questions. How does it move through the soil? Will it eventually, if it's in the aquifer, will it eventually work its way to sea? All those questions are still open. I don't know the answer, certainly. We'll have to explore that. Is that okay, Mark?
Yep.
Okay.
Aren't the PFAS fat soluble, right?
It's not soluble. It's a forever.
Oh, fat soluble. Are they
Is it
water
soluble?
soluble or fat soluble?
Probably. I'm gonna guess it acts like PCBs.
That's what yeah. So
Well, I
it's going to
think it's-
bioaccumulate and
It's on
biomagnify.
the other side even. I think it's more forever. But we have to, I don't know. I haven't looked into that.
You're right, Art. It doesn't degrade or break down, but apparently you can, just by simple dilution. For example, I happened to see another communication from Connecticut Deep. They reopened sport fishing in a certain area of the Farmington River where they had that spill, because
Okay.
they found out the fish that are present now have concentrations of PFAS below the EPA limit for edible consumption. So they pointed that out. But you're right. It seems like it's forever, but it's like DDT. It's going to have spreading all over the world.
Yeah. And I hate to use that cliche, the solution is dilution, but maybe we have to accept that.
Guys, what happens in a water body, it gets tied up in the silt, and then a couple of layers of silt come down on top of it. So it isolates it from the fish population, and you start seeing it drop off. It happened with PCBs in the Hudson.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a question that has to be asked from the public consumption of water point of view, though. We should explore that. The second item I have is just it's an idea. Think about it. We can discuss it more, but I'd like to think that it'd be a good idea to set up a trail subcommittee, kind of like the agricultural subcommittee. Trails are getting an enormous amount of use. They take a certain amount of time to maintain. There are legal documents, so it would be for the Goodwin Trail in particular, certainly at first. There are 3 legal documents that have had to be developed for that thing with the state of Connecticut and with Yale, or 2, that's 2. And I suspect there are people interested in the maintenance of the trail and design of it and the perpetuating the thing. So think about that and see if it's next month, we agree that it's a good idea to set up a subcommittee on that. The third thing, yes, I want to bring to your attention, it's not anything that we have to address, but I'm associated with the Land Trust. We're doing a lot of pretty interesting things, and I could say in general, we're getting a lot of funding. We've been winning proposals. We're closing in on a 300+ acre Katz property in the northeast corner of town. We have closed on a roughly 40 acre piece that's adjacent to Darrell Pond property that is in the Patagonia watershed. So all that water comes down, goes right into the aquifer, and ultimately comes out of the well down by the middle school. And we have another 130 acre parcel that we're moving on. So it looks like if we're successful, and we've been getting the money from the in our pleas for it, because we've been doing a very good job writing up why this is important. We hope we close on another 130 acres. The interesting thing that making this thing go, believe it or not, it's the open space report we wrote, because we start with the bedrock, if you will. We start with the soils. We identify the aquifers. We identify which way the water runs, all the fundamental stuff. And if you identify with public drinking water, you're one step ahead of everybody else. Okay.
Are all 3 of these properties purchased or in the works on the list, the priority list?
One of them it was not, because it wasn't even available at the time.
Okay.
Okay. But
so
yeah.
we need to still, that's a moving target to keep that list up
Oh, yes.
to
Oh,
date.
yes. Once again, though, the point of having that list with all those properties on
Right.
it, you know, it focuses attention on it, and it focuses attention in a peculiar way. Wow, there's a lot of them there. Wow, there's a lot of them that should be
Yeah.
protected.
Yeah.
So,
Are you working with Gary to get that list as up to date as possible? I
oh,
mean,
yes. Oh, absolutely. I've spent a lot of time with him. We went through it and checked the numbers and
okay,
yeah, but my point is, I can see from the writing up the proposals for the land trust, you've got to have all that data right
Right.
there. So when you send a proposal in, you know where it fits in your town, you know what its resource base is. You
yeah,
know, we even had somebody from the Department of Agriculture, apparently they see this at the federal level, comment on, boy, you have a lot of good farm soil on that cat's property.
yeah. Well, can you get us an updated list next month or whatever? I mean, as this list is changing?
Yeah, it's not
yeah,
changing. The
well-
updated one is in the POCD,
Okay,
okay? But anyway, and in our proposals, we always put down the soil types, and this gets the attention of Department of Agriculture. And they say, gee, that's a lot of soil, maybe we could do so. So I just sit there and I'm so pleased we did all this work.
okay,
It's our public water supply thing. You know, this focuses attention on a broad scientific basis. That's all I have to say.
Along those lines of land preservation, two people contacted me recently within the last 6 months. One is Barbara Wilder on Grassy Hill Road. She has an interest in preserving her land. It's got wetlands around it. And the other one is John Bialawans. I just spoke with him last week. He may have called you. I don't know.
I can't, you have to,
Barbara Wilder and John Bialda, is he the guy that had the problem with this, with the solar?
Solar farm, yeah.
we're in
How do you
contact.
spell his last name?
Yeah, we're in contact with him.
Okay, I guess Art's there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was actually solicited and I gave them
Oh, yeah, that's right, Don.
other people, you, Art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they mentioned your name and we started to talk.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's wonderful property.
No, and once again, what we do now is we lay out all the maps of the town, lay out all the watersheds, lay out the aquifers, and lay out this property we're talking about and see what it does. What are its characteristics? What are its virtues? We really know what we're talking about for the first time. Okay, ex officio report.
okay, Roseanne, it's all
I
yours.
don't have a lot tonight. Town hall is closed except by appointment. So if anybody needs to get in there, you have to call, make an appointment, and we're just short of requiring that anybody that comes in has to demonstrate that they have had a COVID-19 test. That's not in the word. That's not official right now. But that's about it. Things are seriously impacted by not being able to meet in person. As you can imagine, you're just one commission, and this is a difficult meeting tonight for everyone to be actively involved in. And the same goes for all the other commissions in town. We're really hamstrung by this. I didn't hear anything tonight about budget. Has there been anything going on with the commission? Has Art submitted a budget? Have you folks approved one yet?
Is he talking to me?
Yeah, have you got a budget?
I can't,
Okay.
it's,
She wants to know whether you've worked a budget and whether we've discussed a budget and whether you're going to submit one.
oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I've been doing this through Gary. He submits a budget of $2,000 and then they cut it to $1,500. I mean, it's a matter, our budget is to pay for the secretaries. And that usually goes through Gary.
Roseanne, did you hear that all right?
I heard that it usually goes through Gary.
Yeah, it was 2,000, he cut it to 1,500, and it's basically to pay for the secretaries to do some mapping for us and their time, I guess.
Okay,
Pays for the printing.
Gary supposedly submitted it.
Yeah. But
okay.
once again,
All
I'll
right,
double
keep
check
an eye
that.
out for that. And
Roseanne's gonna keep an eye out for it.
I'll check to make sure that that's in.
we hope that we don't have to institute a budget freeze.
Well, we've already cut, if we had 2,000, we went down to 1,500. That's what
Right.
you said, right, Art?
Yeah, I put in 2,000
Take a
or
cut or two.
2,500 and the kids comes back with 2,000 or 1,500 and it's hardly worth arguing. We have to make sure we can pay the recording secretary and probably make a few maps, but I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, it's to pay for Fran's time and a couple of maps.
But in the POCD, it's in there that there should be established a separate open space fund. So that's going to be brought to the surface.
Right, and that isn't going to go very far this year.
Yeah,
We're
that's,
just-
she's saying that's not gonna go anywhere this year, the
Well,
open space fund.
it hasn't gone anywhere ever, but at least it's on a piece of paper, and once we change maybe the
Exactly.
personnel, it'll make a difference.
I wonder whether there's any hope, maybe not this year, but soon, about getting an intern to help Gary with GIS maps or in GIS everything else.
He's so overloaded, it's
Well, that's
almost,
what I mean. And it's, there are a lot of students who are very good at this sort of thing. And, if there was internship stuff available, that's, I don't know, Roseanne, whether you can kind of put that in your, on the back burner somewhere. It's a technical skill that when you're good at it, you can do it very quickly. And when you're not, because you're overworked and you have other things, it's a huge burden.
I can tell you that there's no understanding of what Gary Gosho was responsible for doing. None.
Yeah, we all know Gary's,
Okay, so I just jotted that down.
okay.
And I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. I've worked with students who are very good at this sort of thing, and it's terrific. It really does get an awful lot done very.
For both
very
sides,
quickly.
it's terrific for the student, and we
Yeah.
would get a lot of things done.
Yeah, and to get students in, and give them an opportunity is the other side of it. That's what I was saying.
Well, I'll talk with Laura about it.
Yeah. Okay.
See if we
Do you
can,
hear-
see if we might be able to get a couple of students that, through the technology department that might
Yeah.
have an interest.
I don't know. Do the high school kids do GIS at all? This is really a college level skill.
There's some softwares out there that I'd actually love to integrate, but there's not enough time in my
Yeah.
curriculum to dedicate to GIS because you have to spend enough time on it.
Right. Yeah.
So the high school kids really aren't. This would be more of a college.
Yeah, Worcester Polytech has a huge GIS program where they really turn out the very good students. UConn has students who are good at it, but there isn't a dedicated program, to my knowledge. Of course, my experience, about 5 years old now. So it would be a college kid, a summer internship kind of thing, more than high school.
Okay, well, I'll touch base with Laura and see if we can come up with something through the school records and see if we can track some recent graduates who might be in that program.
Oh, okay, that's a good thought.
Lori,
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Laura, before we close, I'm going to get you that forestry report, but think about, would I like to have the forester come down, the one I worked with, to write that whole report? He's retired now, and I think if you're
I
interested.
can have him zoom in. We're not allowed to have guests in the building.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, anyway, just think about it.
No, you can give me the contact info, because like I had UConn, I've had a Pequot Nature Center, we've had Zoom
Okay.
things with people.
I'll
It
check
all
that.
has to be Zoom.
Okay, hearing no new points, do I have a motion to
I'll have a motion to adjourn.
second?
Second,
All in
Mark
favor?
seconded.
Aye.
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 Okay. I got 3
Adjourned.
people this,
See you in February.
Roseanne, I think we just adjourned.